to my story about becoming sepsis. On April 1st of this year, 2012, I went to the ER. I had terrible bladder pain. I had Mr. Scissor hands squeezing, mushing, stabbing, you name it, to my bladder, and I had severe back pain and severe flank pain. So I went to the ER and I had a kidney infection. So they gave me 2 weeks of Bactrim and I went on my way. On the 10th day, I think it's 10 days of antibiotics they normally give you. On my 10th day, I went back to the ER because I had the bladder squeezing and whatever, and I always vomit too. So the first episode I was vomiting nonstop, second episode vomiting nonstop till they give me anti-vomit meds. I do that because of the pain. The young doctor didn't find anything, but my urine would have showed clean because it was my last day of antibiotics. So I ended up back 7 days later in the ER again, because it's usually a weekend. This was probably a weekend. And I get care right away, so they get to look at me right away and we don't have to wait for results. So I'm always told by my doctors to go right to the ER. So I went to the ER. I had the infection back. The dipstick they put in had 50 plus white blood cells on it, so they knew I had an infection. I had lots of blood in my urine. I also have a kidney stone disease, so that adds to me getting infections. So they gave me another 2 weeks of Bactrim, and I went on my way. Like near the end of my Bactrim treatment, I was feeling good. Like, I have chronic pain, and at that time, like, I didn't even need my evening pain meds. I usually take around dinner time. I take a pain pill around 5 in the evening. I didn't need that. So I was so happy I was feeling better. Well, then, about the 24th of May, I went to my family doctor, because she's closer, and it was during the week, and I stopped in there for her to dip my urine, and I had an infection back. So the family doctor gave me 10 days of antibiotics. They're used in, she didn't do a culture, because the culture came back on the 19th that it was 100,000 streptococcus, colonized streptococcus in my urine when the hospital did it. So she didn't do another culture, but she gave me, they're little yellow and black, and they're used for urinary tract infections, and they're nitro something, I don't even know what they're called, but she gave me those, and I took them for 10 days, which took me into June. Around June the 5th, I called my doctor, my family doctor again, and she said, "Lori, you need to see a urologist because these keep repeating and you need to be seen by a urologist." So I got a urologist, big mistake, at the hospital. I took the low guy on the totem pole instead of seeing my normal urologist who does surgery at a different hospital but is with the hospital I like. I went to the hospital I like and seen a urologist what's within the hospital, which was the biggest mistake of my life. So anyhow, on the 5th, he took a catheterized urine and sent me on my way. So I knew I had a kidney infection. So it was the 5th, and time went by, the weekend went by. Monday morning I called. I think I went in on a Tuesday, June the 6th. June the 5th I went in and gave my urine, was a Tuesday. So on Monday I didn't hear anything. I knew I had an infection. I didn't feel well. I was vomiting. I was in severe pain. Like, when my normal pain regimen don't work, there's something wrong with me. So I knew I had an infection because Scissors hands was squeezing my bladder. So I called urology, and I'm like, listen, can you tell the ask the doctor. Oh, the nurse said, yes, you have your results are back. He hasn't had time to look at them yet, and they do show you have infection, but he has to sign off before we give you antibiotics. So I'll have him look at it, and we'll get you some antibiotics called in. Okay, fine. So Monday went by. All day I was waiting for a return phone call that I had antibiotics at the drugstore, which the phone call never came. And so Tuesday came. I called. She said, he's in with a client. I have a nurse parked outside the door to give him your message right away that, you have an infection and you need antibiotics. The nurse is parked outside his door. She's going to catch him as soon as he walks out from his patient. She was freaking bullcrapping me because all day Tuesday went by. I called back 3 times. I still didn't get any antibiotics. So that was the 14th. And I went in on the 5th and gave them my urine. The 5th. And now it's the 14th already. I think it was, wait. No, it was the 13th. So that Wednesday, I called. That day I got a call back that they called me in 5 days of the antibiotics I told them I just took for 10 days and didn't work. And they called me 5 days worth in. So I didn't know it until I went to pick them up at the pharmacy. And I'm like, oh my God, these are the same thing my family doctor gave me and they didn't work. They're not going to help. So I called back up to the urology office and I'm like, listen, I have a kidney stone disease. And there's a reason I keep getting this infection. I said, 5 days worth is not going to kill this. Well, the culture showed on their culture that from the urine they took on the 5th, which I never got antibiotics till the 13th, which the 9th the culture is back in. I can look at all that stuff online. And I never got any treatment till the 13th from the 5th. And it was 100,000 colonized streptococci again. And now I had a new bacteria, which was called enterococcus. That's how it's E-N-T-E-R cocci, like the streptococci, but it's enterococci. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right or not. So I threw a fit on the phone, and I told them I was going to shoot myself if they soon didn't do something because I was dying of pain and I couldn't take another day. And I was. I was literally dying from a kidney infection. So they got me in to see my so-called new uro on the 14th. And he was bullcrapping me through the whole thing. And he told me without even knowing that my stones are infected. My infection was not going to go away. He had to do surgery. He had to go in there and remove the stones. But I had no blockage. I had no blockage. My kidneys were fine. I had CAT scans. I had no blockage. I just had an infection. And my whole kidneys are calcified. So there's no way ever to get all my stones out of my kidneys. Ever. Like, they're permanently grown into the meat of my kidneys. Now, I do have some in the area where they can pass in my left kidney, but I have no pain there like they're passing. Most of my pain's on the right side and my whole back. So, anyhow, he said, we need to do stent placement. I need to go in. I need to laser those stones out. Your infection is not going to go away until I get them stones out. And it doesn't matter or not whether you take them antibiotics because they're not going to help because your infection's not going to go away. That's exactly what he told me. Exactly what he told me. And I swear on my life. So then I took the 5 days of antibiotics, which I got them on the 13th and I finished them on 6/18, which I'm not sure what day that was. But the same week he did surgery. On the 22nd, I went in for surgery because I believed him. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get better unless I get these stones out. And I believed him, which I've had these stones my whole life. And nothing like this has ever happened. So I was believing him while I kept getting the infection. So the 22nd I went in, and I did just read the notes. They did give me one bag at 7:35 of antibiotics before surgery, but I think that's protocol. And he went in and he stuck the stents in. He was unable to do the surgery because I guess he had to stretch out my ureters or something before he could get up there and laser out the stones in my left kidney. And he was going to do something in my right kidney, which my good urologist just did my right kidney in December. So I knew my right kidney was rid of stones which could be reached, because I will never be, I have nephrocalcinosis, my kidneys are calcified. So anyhow, I asked them to keep me overnight because I'd be home alone, and I was really scared of the pain after the stent placement because I don't handle the pain well, and I didn't want to be home alone. I wanted to be there and have my pain controlled in the hospital and feel safe. So I was kept overnight. On the 23rd, he came in and seen me. Said everything was fine. Everything looked fine. They gave me something for my bladder to help with the pain, what makes your urine a weird color. I don't even know what it's called. And sent me on my way home. Okay? I felt very ill all night long. I was alone. I kept taking my pain meds all night, taking the medicine they gave me for my bladder as directed. The next day I was totally confused. The next day, I don't know, like, I knew I was really sick. I knew I was super duper sick. I took my temperature, it was 101.5, something like that. I called urology and I said, I have a really bad fever right now. And they're like, oh, we'll call you antibiotics in. I said, I'm too sick to go get antibiotics. They sent me home from that hospital with no antibiotics, no prescription for antibiotics. He stuck the stents in my kidneys with a full-blown kidney infection, knowing I had 100,000 streptococci and 10,000 enterococcus in my kidney urine. And he stuck them stents in. But I was believing him that it had to be done. I'm no doctor. I don't know. So on that Sunday, when the Euro said, I'll call you antibiotics, and I'm like, I can't go get them, and I have nobody to go pick them up for me. I am home alone, and I have no family to go pick them up for me. So somewhere in my delusional brain, because I was totally out of it, like from the infection, I didn't even know where my medicine was. I didn't know where the thermometer was later. Like, I didn't know anything. So somehow or another, I drove myself to the ER, which is 35 miles away. I don't know. I don't remember driving there. I don't remember leaving my house to go there. I don't remember because the infection was killing me at that time. So I got to the ER. I do remember signing in vaguely, and I remember them putting me in a wheelchair because apparently I could barely stand. Thank God this is a good ER. Now the doctor there what did my surgery, there's no words for him, but the ER itself has always treated me very well, and their trauma team went to work. They looked in the computer, seen what bacteria I had. They knew I was sepsis, and they went to work. All of a sudden, like, my fever spiked up to 107 degrees. I had all these people, trauma teams, taking blood, putting into IVs, giving me oxygen. Like, I didn't even know what was going on. I just knew I was scared. I called a woman in my support group who did a lot of research on our disease and infections. I called her because I thought maybe she could help and tell them what they needed to do with me because of this being a rare disease and all. And I ended up in the special care unit. They had me on ice. Like, they had this pad I had to lay on, and then they had these big ice packs on top of me. I was only allowed a sheet. I was freezing cold, because you're cold when you have a fever, and then to be packed in ice is even worse. It was horrifying. It was just horrifying. But I am very grateful that their trauma team went right to work and saved my life. I'm really lucky. I've been hearing lots of stories about sepsis and how many people die. 40% of the people die would get it. Young people, healthy people. I don't know why I was spared, but God spared me for a reason. And that's why I'm doing this tape. Maybe it's to spread the word of sepsis and how important it is. If you think you have a urinary tract infection, go to the doctor. Do not put it off, because it can kill you. Kidney infections, urinary tract infections can kill you. I'm a living example. So I ended up in special care for 2 days. On the first day I was in special care, that urologist came in, and I looked at him and I said, "You should have gave me antibiotics." And he says, "I know I should have." He knew he screwed up. Okay? He covered his butt from that point on, because I did not see any other doctors. I should have seen an infectious disease doctor, an internal med doctor at the hospital, something who dealt with something besides the kidneys, because I had a blood infection and I had sepsis, and my own body was killing me. So I was really rushed out of there. I was in special care for 2 days, and then in a regular room, which when they give me pain medicine, and when my pain, I feel okay, and I was eating, but as long as I was medicated for my pain, I was okay. Like, I still was nauseated, but they were giving me vomit medicine. So in the hospital, getting antibiotics, getting, pain meds, getting anti-vomit medicine, I was okay. But he sent me packing with a prescription of antibiotics. He sent me packing, and a stool softener. And so then on the 29th, I think I went by ambulance. Yes, I did. I called our pastor. I was throwing up from 6 o'clock in the morning. I was vomiting so bad. First I vomited the blood out of my stomach, what digest your food, because I was that empty. And then I vomited everything out of my gallbladder. So I got an ambulance ride back to the hospital. They readmitted me because I couldn't keep down my antibiotics and I was vomiting. But then, the next day, he came in. I said my pain was really bad and my whole belly was swollen. And my pain was right here. Like, I had such bad pain here. They gave me milk and magnesium. It did help a little bit. But reading other sepsis stories now, and other people, that's part of the sepsis, and it must have been hurting my organs or something, or even my heart, because my heart rate was really high. And like, he just wanted me out of there, because he knew he did this to me. He wanted me gone. This doctor wanted me gone. So he did not even keep me for more than one night again. So, being sepsis, I only ended up 4 nights in the hospital, and sent packing with antibiotics, stool softeners, and pain meds, which I had my own pain meds, so I didn't get pain meds. But anyhow, then on the 6th of July, same thing. I woke up and I'm vomiting. I was so sick. I called the pastor. He lives like 2 blocks away. He came down. We called the ambulance. He sat outside with me because I went outside because of my pets. I wanted to make sure my dogs were locked in. I was sitting outside with a bucket and him praying for me, and I was totally wet, sweated, just vomiting green again, everything out of my gallbladder. I got to the hospital. I said, I told that urologist, you need to get these stents out of me. For one, I knew there was bacteria all over them, because there had to be. He stuck them in with a full-blown infection, and bacteria likes to cling to catheters and things like that. So he was angry. He was so mad that I wanted the stents out. The ER people said, don't do this in here. There's too much bacteria. Do not take her stents out in here. He didn't care. He didn't even wait for the nurse to bring me pain meds. I got pain meds when I got there, but till he got down there with this little cart of the thing he ripped the stents out with was a while, and the pain meds, I was in full-blown pain again. And she like rushed in and gave it to me while he was ripping the stents out of me. He literally ripped them stents out of me. Whatever the machine is has water, and he was spraying it all over me. He was so mad. He slammed that thing down, yelled at me, I'm gonna have to get somebody else to treat my stones, and went on his way. Well, he knew when he took them stents out that I wasn't gonna let him do surgery, and he knows he made me sick. And that's why he was angry. He's new. He's there at the hospital for 6 months, and he almost killed me. He did my treatment all wrong. He should have treated my infection till my urine showed no infection. He gave me 5 days worth of antibiotics before what were finished on the 18th. So I only had antibiotics from the 13th to the 18th, 5 days worth. And I had 100,000 colonized streptococci in me, and enterococcus. So here it is. Today's like, I don't know, today's date, 27th. I don't even know what, I know it's Saturday. Oh, it's just July 28th. Here I am, still in bed. I'm still sick. I can run out to the store. I can do maybe an hour worth of stuff. And then right now I'm taking vomit meds and pain medicine. I'm in severe pain, and I'm back in bed because I'm sick. So that's why I decided to do this tape about sepsis this evening. So that is my horror story with sepsis. But anyone who thinks you have an infection, do not put it off. I would have been dead if I wouldn't have got to that ER any later, a day later. I would not be here right now. I'm very thankful for that ER's trauma team, because the trauma team just took me. There was like 7, 8 doctors. They were around me. They called in a minister, was praying over me, praying for me. Some woman minister, which I need to get a hold of her and thank her, because she probably saved my life by praying. And they knew what to do. That they took care of it. Not all hospitals are equipped like them. This is one where emergency helicopters go to and stuff. So I'm very lucky I drove the 35 miles, being delusional, not remembering, to that hospital to be saved. So that's my horror story of sepsis. Bye.